The new Prime Minister Liz Truss is officially back to work, and one of her first policy programs is reversing the World Economic Forum's tax agenda. Yeah, I know. I'm surprised too. I wasn't expecting it to be so quickly. It's really weird because usually in politics, politicians defend their positions by using words and empty promises before acting. Sometimes they don't even act, they just say things. Liz Truss has been under criticisms over the World Economic Forum and all this stuff that's been mentioned so many times. She never actually came back to, verbally and defend her position. She's actually showing it with action, which is absolutely fascinating. So one of her first programs is to completely go against everything that's been part of the agenda on a globalist level. So, Rishi Sunak as Chancellor and President Biden, these guys who came up with the global minimum global tax rate and the whole policies that goes around from the European Union to all the members of these organizations to say, well, let's just harmonize everything. Financial policies, tax policies, economic policies, and everything else. Now we have a bit of a backlash because Liz Truss and her team, who are more pro smaller government, limited government, are reversing all these ideas. So that's what we are throughout the whole leadership campaign, when people used to show screenshots of Liz Truss, her page, her wiki page, a bio page on the WEF website, and people kept coming out to say, well, all top ministers from all governments, Western governments, have a page automatically. It's like Wikipedia. Doesn't mean you're a member. There's a different page for the young global members, whatever they're called. That's a different page for membership, and Liz Truss is not part of that. That explains why they didn't really say much, and they decided to show with policies. Again, we have to make sure that they get things done. We were let down by Boris Johnson in 2019, and he had these excuses that happened. But so far, so good. Because when you had, this is the World Economic Forum on their website, when they've had all these policy ideas, like everything you need to know about the G7's plan for a global minimum tax, we were slightly freaking out that we have no power anymore. That all these world leaders are getting together and actually coming up with all these ideas, and the lobbyists keep pushing for them. But now, Liz Truss, by appointing people like Kemi Badenoch as Trade Secretary and Kwasi Kwarteng as Chancellor, things are slightly changing. So what is she exactly up to? Let's talk about this. So one of the things that she's doing, which is really radical and it's absolutely fascinating, is to focus on different parts of the country, especially the deprived parts of the country, so various counties, various towns and villages and cities, to turn them into economic hubs for business investment. At the same time, make sure that you actually do tax cuts, income tax cuts for the vulnerable, for the people who are on lower income, not just for the rich, but for the actual people in deprived areas. So you're going to have a situation where income tax will be cut for those in deprived areas, but also make those areas attractive for business investment without actually affecting the culture and identity of those areas. Now that's good. If they do it the way they're saying it, it will work perfectly. That's what people like me and our side of the political spectrum have been pushing for this for decades and decades. Nobody listened until we finally have some sort of chance, maybe, to do this. But also, the reversing all these idiotic ideas that Rishi Sunak had as Chancellor to increase corporation tax, which, again, they call it corporation tax so they could get the support of the people. In reality, it's called business tax because big businesses won't be hit much. They always find a loophole. The reality is that small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses who can't afford expensive lawyers and accountants, they have to pay for it. He wanted to increase that. He wanted to increase the national insurance that again hit the vulnerable more than the rich. And Liz Truss has now said that she's now going after those two areas to stop the increase. The tax burden is at the highest we've had in decades and decades, and the situation is getting worse. What do these idiots think? The more you increase taxation, whether it's on the rich or the poor, that you're going to sort out the economy. It's never worked in the history of humanity. Socialism doesn't work. Stop trying. Now, the income tax policy is absolutely fascinating. Hopefully, they'll go ahead and actually implement it in the right way But we will see. We will judge them after they implement it, if they implement it. I'll believe it when I see it, right? I am quite optimistic actually about this for once. If I'm proven wrong, we'll do something about this. But we're going to keep holding them to account. We'll have to scrutinize the people in the position of power. So subscribe to the channel. We're going to come back in half an hour. Half an hour, we're going to tell you about what Jacinda Ardern is up to. On my TC, and we are the media.